Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. So I decided to take the family to dinner last night, and when I left, everything in the crypto world was just fine. And then when I came back, it was like all sorts of things. There were news and different things were coming out of the woodwork. I looked down and the market had gone down greatly, and it just seems like everything fell to pieces. Well, so I got home and I looked at it, and this is the first thing I saw, which I thought was great. This is from Michael Arrington. He's the guy that runs Arrington XRP Capital. Apparently he had dinner with Brad Garlinghouse last night or at some point. And he says, I'll just quietly post this here. And he's showing that I guess maybe he gave the gift of some Brad Garlinghouse socks that came from the Crypto Man. If you haven't bought any socks or also paintings that he's doing now, go to @crypto_man and you can get some of these socks yourself. But Brad Garlinghouse, if you're ever wondering whether Ripple and some of these people are paying attention to what's going on in social media, this picture should tell you all you need to know. And so I thought this was great. Okay, so next, and then this happened last night too. Out of nowhere, Ripple sent out an announcement that they're welcoming Yoshitaka Kitao from SBI Holdings to its board of directors. The representative director, president, and CEO of SBI Holdings, he'll be joining Ripple's board of directors, having served as the head of dozens of companies throughout his career. Mr. Kitao brings the board extensive leadership experience and knowledge of the global financial markets. And then what happened next was Chris Larsen weighed in. He says, it's my pleasure to welcome Kitao, President and CEO of SBI Group, to the Ripple Board of Directors with a deep understanding of the financial services industry. He joins at a perfect time as we deepen our customer base in the APAC and beyond. Now, I think that this is happening for a reason. I've said it many times, and I believe that SBI, and I tweeted out about this last night, I believe that when the history books are written, the Ripple selling a portion of the company to SBI Holdings will prove to be the smartest business decision that Ripple made from the beginning. And I stand by that. I believe that part of this is going to be a big part of the reason. I think it's a big part of the reason already that Ripple has made the progress they've made. I think that the connection to SBI Holdings cannot be underestimated. But then this is what blew the market up last night. And before I get to it, I want to tell you from the time I started in digital assets, the one thing that can drive the market through the floor just like that is when you see an announcement similar to this about one of the digital asset exchanges. It's been this way ever since I got in. But the other thing that must be recognized is every time that something like this happens, unless it's an exchange hack that's legitimate, every time it's just news coming from a government agency, it could be China announcing a ban or some shady thing that's going on with some shady exchange that nobody would even use in China or something, and bad news would come out and it would tank the market. In this case, it's Bitfinex, and this came out. This is from the New York Attorney General, I believe. Last night, this came out. The New York Attorney General's office has alleged that crypto exchange Bitfinex lost $850 million and subsequently used funds from affiliated stablecoin operator Tether to secretly cover the shortfall. According to a press release issued Thursday, New York Attorney General Letitia James announced that she had obtained a court order against Bitfinex Inc., which operates both Bitfinex and Tether, ordering them to cease violating New York law and defrauding New York residents. James said that the investigation by her department determined that Bitfinex engaged in a cover-up to hide apparent loss of $850 million in commingled client and corporate funds, adding, New York State has led the way in requiring virtual currency business to operate according to the law, and we will continue to stand up for investors and seek justice on their behalf when misled or cheated by any of these companies. I've been reading around all of this, and I've been trying to put this together in my mind. And what I'm seeing here, I don't know that if I believe this or not. I believe that this is, and here's where I'm getting this. Bitfinex came out, they respond to this, and they deny it, okay? The New York Attorney General's court filings were written in bad faith and are riddled with false assertions, including as to a purported $850 million in losses at Crypto Capital. On the contrary, we have been informed that these Crypto Capital amounts are not lost, but have been in fact seized and safeguarded. We are and have been actively working to exercise our rights and remedies to get those funds released. Sadly, the New York Attorney General's office seems to be intent on undermining those efforts to the detriment of our customers. Bitfinex and Tether have been fully cooperative with the New York Attorney General's office, as both companies are with all regulators. The New York Attorney General's office should focus its efforts on trying to aid and support our recovery efforts. Both Bitfinex and Tether are financially strong. So anyway, this could be partially true, but it also, to me, when I read this, it reeks of New York. The government of New York is not happy that a lot of these, that they're losing a lot of this crypto business because they're cracking down on these guys almost too hard from what I've read. And so a lot of these companies, like Bitfinex recently, they got denied by New York, and then they were angry about it. It was a whole thing. And so something to me smells fishy here, but at the same time, here's what drives me crazy every time this type of thing happens. Let's say that the New York Attorney General is 100% right and that Bitfinex did this. Okay, that would be a criminal thing. If Bitfinex did this and they were commingling funds, that would be illegal. There's already laws in place to prosecute anyone that's doing things like this. Well, what does that have to do with the crypto market as a whole? And the crypto market turns around in tanks and all this. What does that have to do with the market as a whole? It has absolutely nothing. And this is the way crypto has been for a long time. But the reason that it's been that way for a long time is the thing I have a problem with. These governments of the world have gladly gone this kind of route when they don't have to. They don't do it. They don't go this route and try to issue press releases and make a big stink of it like this when it has to do with the traditional financial firms. And I'm going to make that point right now. Here's a post that came out right after this piece of news, and this is from Caitlyn Long. Now, Caitlyn Long, let's see if I can pull her resume here. She is former chair, president of Symbiont, 22-year Wall Street veteran, ran pension business at Morgan Stanley, not advice. Okay, and apparently she's a lawyer. She says, stunned but not surprised by Bitfinex Tether news out of New York. I'll let other crypto lawyers analyze it, but here are two macro thoughts. One, there's a big double standard here. Two, exchanges clean up your act, cryptographically prove your solvency. I agree with that. And then she's tweeting out this guy's tweet about the Bitfinex news. But she goes, and number two, she says, first, the double standard. Why didn't the New York Attorney General throw the Martin Act at Merrill Lynch for doing something actually quite similar from 2009 to 2012? Seriously, why the double standard? Quoting the SEC's press release here. And she's showing where, this is an article from back then, where Merrill Lynch had to pay $415 million for misusing customer cash and putting customer securities at risk. If you look right, according to the SEC's order instituting a settled administrative proceeding, Merrill Lynch further violated customer protection rule by failing to adhere to requirements that fully paid-for customer securities be held in lien-free accounts and shielded from claims from third parties should a firm collapse. From 2009 to 2015, Merrill Lynch held up to $58 billion per day of customer securities in a clearing account that was subject to a general lien by its clearing bank, and held additional customer securities in accounts worldwide that similarly were subject to liens. Had Merrill Lynch collapsed at any point, customers would have been exposed to significant risk and uncertainty of getting back their own securities. And so, back to her thing here. She says the maneuver freed up billions of dollars per week from 2009 to 2012. Merrill Lynch used to finance its own trading activities. Had Merrill Lynch failed in the midst of these trades, the firm's customers would have been exposed to a massive shortfall in the reserve account. Wait, please stop and read that again. It's really important. So, Merrill Lynch commingled customer funds, used them to cover its own obligations, and had it failed, its customers would have been exposed to a massive shortfall in the reserve account. Where was the New York AG? But there's more. Merrill had, and this is what I just read to you, but here's her final point. She says, yeah, that Merrill stuff was pretty bad, and it paid $415 million in fines to the SEC in 2016. But the SEC handled it in a manner that didn't spark sudden panic and customer withdrawals from Merrill. But today, New York went with the gotcha approach, and pockets of panic seem to be ensuing. And this is the point. This is the frustration that crypto has been with regard to these governments. And the reason that they come down like this, and they don't do it with the traditional financial people, is because they don't like crypto. They haven't liked it from the start, but they know that they don't have any choice because they can't control it. If they could control it, they would control it already, and they can't. And that's the reason they use the gotcha approach. And then the approach they use with the Merrill Lynches of the world is they'll just quietly have these proceedings going on and behind the scenes, and then 3 or 4 or 5 months from now, you'll see some article on the back page of a newspaper that says Merrill Lynch paid $415 million in fines. That's the way it's handled with these criminal banking enterprises. Okay, next, here's something that hatched out of that article last night. This is from a lover of all crypto, If Moon, at XRP Moonshot. He's talking to CZ Binance, the CEO of Binance. If we are talking about doing the right thing, then I suggest you delist Tether. I and millions of others would agree that if you made XRP the base pair, money would flock to Binance. And so he's making a pretty good point here. Tether, there's a lot of people that have not liked Tether from the very beginning and don't believe that these exchanges are matching it the way they say it. They say it's a stable coin, but they don't believe that they're putting in $1 for every Tether the way it's supposed to be. Next, now this is a really good thread. I'm only going to read you the first and the last thing. You should go and read it yourself. This is from Santiago Velez at SANTIAG 787-58327. Very smart guy. He's been in my comment threads, and I've seen him on Twitter for a long time, but he's a really smart guy. And I think he's a guy that's working on a lot of things in tech himself. It's his XRP Endgame theory. In the following tweet thread, I present my thesis for why I believe the XRP ledger, and by extension the XRP digital asset, will be the dominant bridge currency in the world. I stand by this thesis until new information technology presents itself. But I do want to read you this one. First, what I don't think will happen with XRP. Federal Reserve will not use it. IMF will not use it. World Bank will not use it. Average consumer most likely will not use directly or hold it in any great quantity. No central bank will use it, nor should they. Now look at his conclusion down here, and go and read the whole thing yourself when you have time. The value transfer between ledgers will be facilitated in large part by atomic transactions by the XRPL, and will be supranational, super technical, and with zero counterparty risk. That is the end game, eliminating all counterparty risk in human value transfer with XRP. Interesting. I like it. And this from XRP Darren at Fame21 More. This is a page from Accenture. It must be an Accenture presentation. He says these sleazebag bankers have it all figured out. XRP is just going to jump. Adoption already happened. Price movement will happen in nanoseconds. Behind the scenes, everything has happened. The headlines will read, if you just bought one XRP, and I think this is exactly right. The headlines will read, if you had just bought one XRP back in 2017. But here's the slide that he's got. Likely adoption timeline. You'll see this is from Accenture Research. 2016 to 2017, early adoption. Leading edge banks see the value in blockchain and begin deployments for asset classes that are bilaterally traded and or have no central clearing authority. Regulatory certainty drives adoption for external uses. And then look to 2018 to 2024. Banks begin to see the benefits according to early adopters. Combined with regulatory guidance and certainty, the network effect takes hold. Deployments go viral across numerous asset classes. New products and services are created. Incumbent processes and services are discarded. Maturity 2025. Blockchain adoption is considered mainstream and integral to the capital markets ecosystem. So yeah, I think this is about dead on target as far as what's happening, what's going to happen. I want to show you three other tweets that I thought were interesting. This one is from the next two are from Mark Yusko. So why would you think it is not that? So why do you think it is that not one single asset manager, bank executive, or financial icon has been willing to accept our challenge, crypto challenge, 1 million Buffett bet style wager over the next decade? We will take our digital asset index fund, and the other side takes the S&P, some kind of S&P index fund. And so basically, they were saying that their bet was $1 million that their digital asset fund would that encompasses just digital assets would outperform the S&P. Is basically the way the bet was, and nobody took them. Not Warren Buffett. Not any of these people that are so negative against cryptocurrencies, not Jamie Dimon, none of them took it. And it's been out there for months. So he knows. And then he posed a good question here, or asked you to do something. Please rank the following in order of how much you trust them. Government, law enforcement, media, central bankers, banks, Wall Street, corporations, software, crypto, Bitcoin. Seriously, ordinarily rank from top to bottom on how much trust you have in each thing. This, folks, the fact that you as well as I would rank these bottom three up on the top is a big part of the reason that crypto is going to explode. And finally, how could I not show you this picture from Anthony Pompliano? Bitcoin is volatile, but every time people think it's dead, it goes up a little. That's a Gene Simmons quote. And here's a picture of Gene Simmons, one of the coolest guys in the world, with Anthony Pompliano. And I thought that was a great tweet. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that Gene Simmons seems to be pro digital assets. Thanks for listening. And he's very smart.